Jennifer Ashcroft, a strikingly beautiful 52-year-old woman, had forged her fortune within the cutthroat realm of biotechnology. Her company stood at the forefront of brain interface technology, and Jennifer was renowned for her razor-sharp intellect and unyielding determination. Moving through life with an air of confidence, she exuded the prowess of someone who always got what she desired, whether in the boardroom or in matters of the heart. Yet a 20-year-old Ryan Breslin, with his brooding good looks, seemed an unlikely match for her. A college dropout with a troubled past, Ryan drifted through a series of dead-end jobs until fate intervened. A chance encounter with Jennifer irrevocably changed the trajectory of his life. Their relationship, unconventional at best, appeared to fulfill the desires of both parties. For Jennifer, a vibrant young companion to stave off loneliness. For Ryan, it offered financial security and a taste of the luxury he had never known. For nearly a year, their arrangement blossomed in the shadows of Riverton. But as summer gave way to autumn, a shift in their delicate dynamic began to set in motion a chain of events that would culminate in bloodshed. The community was left to grapple with the dark undercurrents that had been flowing beneath its pristine surface all along. Jennifer Ashcroft's path to wealth and power began in the middle-class suburbs of Boston. Born to a high school chemistry teacher and a librarian, young Jennifer exhibited an early aptitude for science, along with an insatiable curiosity about the human mind. Her parents, recognizing their daughter's potential, scrimped and saved to provide her with every educational opportunity they could afford. At the age of 16, Jennifer's life took a dramatic turn when her science fair project on neurotransmitters caught the attention of a visiting professor from MIT. Impressed by her talent, he became her mentor, guiding her through accelerated studies. This mentorship paved her way into the prestigious neuroscience program at MIT, where Jennifer's ambition truly took flight. During her graduate studies, her research into neuroplasticity attracted the attention of several biotech startups. By just 25, she had secured her first patent with a fledgling company focused on brain-computer interfaces. Under her leadership, the company flourished, its stock price soaring as groundbreaking advancements in technology made headlines. With each success, Jennifer's wealth and influence expanded, but so did her reputation for ruthlessness. Former colleagues whispered in hushed tones about her uncanny ability to charm and manipulate, to identify weaknesses and exploit them mercilessly. Jennifer's personal life reflected a pattern marked by a series of brief marriages, each ending as her partners found themselves unable to compete with her true passion, her work. Her first husband, a fellow researcher from MIT, lasted just 3 years before filing for divorce, citing emotional neglect. The second, a charming venture capitalist, reached the 5-year mark before Jennifer's suspicions of infidelity led to an acrimonious split. After her third divorce at 48 from a younger art dealer who claimed she had become obsessively controlling, Jennifer resolved to steer clear of traditional relationships. Instead, she sought the company of much younger men. Drawn to their vitality and the uncomplicated nature of purely transactional arrangements, this lifestyle suited her perfectly, allowing her to maintain control while fulfilling her needs for companionship and physical intimacy. As Jennifer approached her 50s, a creeping sense of loneliness began to gnaw at her. This vulnerability, carefully concealed beneath her polished exterior, left her susceptible to the intoxicating allure of Ryan Breslin and the destructive jealousy that would soon follow. Ryan Breslin's early life stood in stark contrast to Jennifer's. Born in a small town in rural Pennsylvania, he was the youngest of 4 children in a family perpetually teetering on the edge of poverty. His father, a long-haul trucker with a penchant for alcohol, was seldom home. Meanwhile, his mother, overwhelmed and battling depression, struggled to keep the family afloat. From an early age, Ryan learned to fend for himself. Blessed with good looks and natural charm, he quickly discovered that he could leverage these attributes to his advantage. By high school, Ryan had perfected the art of getting by with minimal effort. Despite his lackluster academic performance, Ryan's charisma smoothed over his disciplinary issues, and his surprisingly high SAT scores hinted at an intelligence he rarely applied to his studies. Coupled with his prowess on the basketball court, this earned him a scholarship to a small liberal arts college in Philadelphia. However, the freedom of college life proved too tempting for Ryan. Away from the watchful eyes of family and teachers, he fell in with a party crowd, causing his grades to plummet. By the end of his freshman year, he had lost his scholarship. Too ashamed to return home, Ryan decided to stay in Philadelphia, bouncing between low-wage jobs and crashing on friends' couches. It was during this aimless period that his path intersected with Jennifer's. Working as a barista in an upscale cafe frequented by business executives, Ryan caught Jennifer's eye one rainy Tuesday morning. She was struck by his easy smile and the hint of vulnerability behind his confident demeanor. For Ryan, Jennifer represented everything he thought he wanted: sophistication, success, and the promise of a life far removed from his humble beginnings. Their initial flirtation quickly evolved into something far deeper. Intrigued by Ryan's raw potential, Jennifer was eager to shape him into her ideal companion and presented him with an enticing proposition. She would provide financial support in exchange for his exclusive companionship. Faced with mounting debts and dwindling prospects, Ryan found the offer too good to refuse. Seizing the opportunity, Jennifer invited him as her guest to an exclusive gallery opening, her tone suggesting this was more than a casual invitation. This event marked the beginning of Ryan's induction into Jennifer's world. Arriving at his shabby apartment, she presented him with a tailored suit that fit him perfectly, transforming his appearance entirely. As the evening unfolded, Jennifer expertly guided Ryan, whispering explanations about the art and introducing him to her circles as her young protege. For Ryan, the night felt intoxicating. He easily slipped into the role of the charming, artistic young man, feeding off the approving glances and engaging conversations with Jennifer's peers. As the night wore on, the attraction between them grew palpable, culminating in a passionate encounter back at Jennifer's penthouse. In the aftermath of their passionate connection, Jennifer Ashcroft laid out a tantalizing proposition for Ryan Breslin. She offered him a generous monthly allowance to support his education should he choose to return to college. In exchange, she expected nothing less than his companionship, a trade that would alter the course of both their lives. Ryan, seeing a golden opportunity to reinvent himself and escape the aimlessness that had defined his existence, agreed without a second thought. What followed were months that would turn his life upside down. Jennifer welcomed him into the guest house on her lavish estate, transforming his wardrobe into a collection of designer labels. She introduced him to the finer things in life, enrolling him in art appreciation classes and hiring a personal trainer to refine his already impressive physique. With each lesson in wine tasting and fine dining, Jennifer reveled in her role as both mentor and muse. She viewed Ryan as a project, a prized possession to display proudly. Together, they attended high-profile events, drawing envious glances from onlookers, each moment feeding her desire to mold him into the perfect companion. For Ryan, the relationship offered a sense of security and exhilarating excitement. He embraced his new lifestyle with zeal, eager to prove his worth and sustain the luxurious life that Jennifer had bestowed upon him. Their physical relationship was both passionate and adventurous. Jennifer opened Ryan's eyes to experiences he had never dared to dream of, always pushing his boundaries while maintaining a firm grip on their dynamic. As summer faded into fall, Jennifer and Ryan fell into a rhythm filled with extravagant vacations, social soirees, and intimate evenings behind closed doors. To the outside world, they seemed like an unconventional but blissfully happy couple. Yet beneath the polished surface, the roots of codependency and obsession were beginning to intertwine, setting the stage for the chaos that loomed ahead. The delicate balance of their relationship began to shift with the arrival of Aria Thornton, a spirited 20-year-old art history major at the local university. Aria entered their lives quietly, initially as a part-time docent at the Museum of Modern Art. Ryan first crossed paths with Aria during one of his regular visits to the museum, a habit encouraged by Jennifer to enhance his education in art. Aria was leading a tour group, her passion for the artwork unmistakable in her animated descriptions and insightful commentary. Ryan felt a magnetic pull toward her enthusiasm, a stark contrast to Jennifer's calculated and superficial appreciation of art. After the tour concluded, Ryan seized the opportunity to engage Aria in conversation, their words flowing effortlessly as laughter punctuated their exchange. For the first time in months, Ryan felt genuinely seen, not merely as an extension of Jennifer's desires. Aria, with her vibrant style and infectious laughter, embodied everything Jennifer was not. Where Jennifer exuded polish and restraint, Aria was spontaneous and full of life. Her youthful energy resonated deeply within Ryan, reminding him of the authentic relationships he had sacrificed in his arrangement with Jennifer. Over the ensuing weeks, Ryan found himself returning to the museum more often, timing his visits to coincide with Aria's shifts. Their friendship blossomed rapidly, united by their shared interests in art, music, and philosophy. Aria welcomed Ryan into her world of college parties, indie film screenings, and late-night discussions in 24-hour diners, each encounter drawing him further away from his life with Jennifer. As Ryan immersed himself in this new world, the lines between loyalty, desire, and ambition began to blur, setting the stage for a confrontation that would change everything. With every interaction, he found himself torn between the security that Jennifer offered and the exhilarating promise of something new with Aria. The tension between the two women would soon come to a head, unraveling the delicate fabric of Ryan's life. In a world where affection was often entangled with ambition, Ryan's journey would lead him down a path filled with unexpected twists, testing the very essence of love, loyalty, and the price of desire. For Ryan Breslin, interactions with Aria Thornton and her friends provided a refreshing escape. He began to rediscover parts of himself that had long been suppressed in his relationship with Jennifer Ashcroft, including his artistic aspirations. Aria, with her infectious passion, encouraged him to pursue photography, even gifting him a vintage camera she had discovered at a flea market. As Ryan spent more time with her, he found himself questioning the very nature of his relationship with Jennifer. The stark contrast between the genuine connection he felt with Aria and the transactional arrangement he had with Jennifer became increasingly apparent. He began crafting excuses to spend more time away from the estate, his mind frequently wandering back to thoughts of Aria. The allure of their bond grew stronger, distracting him from the life he had built with Jennifer. Unbeknownst to Ryan, his shifting demeanor and growing distraction had not escaped Jennifer's keen notice. Her instincts, honed through years of navigating corporate landscapes, sensed a palpable change in their dynamic as Ryan began to pull away. Determined to regain control, Jennifer's resolve only intensified. The first signs of trouble were subtle, yet telling. She noticed Ryan checking his phone more frequently, his face lighting up at certain messages. He began spending more time at the museum, claiming a newfound passion for contemporary art. While Jennifer initially encouraged this interest, a nagging suspicion began to fester within her. One evening, as they prepared for a charity gala, she casually inquired about his day at the museum. His enthusiastic response, filled with intricate details about a new exhibition, took a sharp turn when he mentioned Aria, the incredibly knowledgeable docent. The spark in Ryan's eyes as he spoke of her ignited alarm bells in Jennifer's mind. Determined to uncover the truth, she began to monitor Ryan more closely. Under the guise of a security upgrade, she installed a GPS tracker on his phone and hired a private investigator to follow him during his outings. The reports she received confirmed her worst fears. Ryan was spending considerable time with Aria, their body language revealing an undeniable attraction. As the evidence of Ryan's growing connection with Aria piled up, so too did Jennifer's jealousy. She oscillated between icy detachment and desperate clinginess. Her moods became increasingly unpredictable. One moment, she would lavish Ryan with expensive gifts. The next, she would unleash passive-aggressive comments and veiled threats. This erratic behavior began to seep into her professional life. Jennifer found herself distracted during crucial meetings, snapping at employees for minor infractions. Her assistant noted a troubling increase in her alcohol consumption, often discovering empty wine bottles in her office trash. Unable to contain her suspicions any longer, Jennifer confronted Ryan after a particularly late night out. With an intensity that left no room for denial, she demanded to know where he had been, accusing him of betraying her trust. Caught off guard, Ryan attempted to downplay his friendship with Aria, insisting that Jennifer was overreacting. The argument escalated rapidly, with Jennifer reminding him of everything she had done for him, insinuating that he owed her his unwavering loyalty. This confrontation marked a pivotal turning point in their relationship, setting the stage for the tragic events that would soon unfold. In a tense confrontation, Jennifer Ashcroft faced Ryan Breslin, demanding to know the truth about his late-night escapades. Accusations of betrayal hung heavy in the air as Jennifer pressed him for answers. Ryan, caught off guard, scrambled to downplay his friendship with Aria Thornton, attempting to deflect her anger. He insisted that Jennifer was merely overreacting, but the tension only intensified. The argument spiraled, with Jennifer reminding Ryan of the sacrifices she had made for him, suggesting that he owed her his unwavering loyalty. This heated exchange marked a crucial turning point in their fraught relationship. Feeling increasingly trapped and resentful of Jennifer Ashcroft's possessiveness, Ryan Breslin began to withdraw even further into himself. He grew guarded with his phone, careful to avoid mentioning Aria Thornton, and crafted elaborate excuses to justify his absences. As her paranoia deepened, Jennifer intensified her efforts to control Ryan. She insisted on accompanying him to art events, her possessive body language sending a clear message to anyone who dared to approach them. Surprising him with unannounced visits to the museum, Jennifer's sharp gaze scanned the crowd for any sign of the young docent who had caught Ryan's eye. With each passing week, the emotional chasm between them widened, leaving a gaping void. Their once passionate encounters devolved into mechanical interactions, laced with an undercurrent of resentment. Jennifer's jealousy morphed into an all-consuming obsession, haunting her thoughts and driving her to increasingly desperate measures to keep Ryan by her side. Little did she realize that her possessive love was only pushing Ryan further away, steering them both toward an inevitable confrontation that would bear fatal consequences. As her jealousy escalated, Jennifer embarked on a calculated campaign to maintain control over Ryan. Employing the same strategic thinking that had made her a formidable businesswoman, she devised a range of manipulation tactics meant to keep Ryan dependent on her while isolating him from any outside influence. Jennifer's first move was to exploit Ryan's financial dependence. She began to withhold his allowance, citing fictitious issues with her accounts or claiming she needed to reallocate funds for her business. When Ryan expressed concern, she would relent, but only after extracting promises of increased commitment and time spent together. Emotional manipulation soon became Jennifer's primary weapon. She oscillated between showering Ryan with affection and subjecting him to prolonged periods of icy silence. This hot and cold treatment left Ryan in a constant state of confusion, never quite sure of where he stood in Jennifer's eyes. Moreover, she employed more subtle tactics to isolate him from potential support systems. Scheduling trips that conveniently coincided with Ryan's plans with friends, she expressed concern about his old acquaintances, implying they were a bad influence or merely using him for his newfound status. Gradually, Ryan's social circle diminished, leaving Jennifer as his sole source of companionship and validation. In moments of perceived threat, she would remind Ryan of all she had done for him, framing her controlling behavior as acts of love and generosity. She would recount how she had rescued him from a life of poverty and obscurity, suggesting that without her, he would be nothing. These guilt trips reinforced Ryan's sense of obligation to her. As Ryan continued to pull away, Jennifer's tactics grew increasingly desperate. She began to fabricate health scares, claiming stress-induced migraines, or fainting spells that mysteriously coincided with moments when Ryan wished to venture out alone. Her performances were so convincing that Ryan often canceled his plans, genuinely concerned for her well-being. Through this intricate web of manipulation, Jennifer sought to craft a reality where Ryan believed he was dependent on her, eroding his autonomy until staying with her appeared to be the only viable option. Yet with each manipulative act, in a dangerous game of manipulation, Jennifer Ashcroft was pushing Ryan Breslin closer to his breaking point, fueling a resentment that would soon boil over with devastating consequences. During her clandestine investigations into Ryan's past, Jennifer uncovered a secret that would become her leverage. Through a network of private investigators, she discovered that Ryan had been involved in a car accident during his freshman year of college, an incident that had left another student seriously injured. In a panic, Ryan had fled the scene, an act that had allowed the case to go cold due to a lack of evidence. Yet now, Jennifer held the missing pieces of this dark puzzle. Armed with this explosive information, she meticulously planned her approach. She waited for the opportune moment when Ryan was particularly vulnerable after a heated argument about his increasing absences. As he turned to leave, Jennifer calmly mentioned the accident. The color drained from Ryan's face as he slowly turned back to her, realizing the gravity of the situation. With cold precision, Jennifer laid out the facts. Producing police reports, she made it unmistakably clear that she possessed enough evidence to reopen the case and implicate him. The unspoken threat hung heavy in the air. If Ryan didn't comply with her demands, she would turn the information over to the authorities. The revelation shattered Ryan. The accident had haunted him for years, the guilt festering beneath the surface. He had convinced himself that by abandoning his old life, he could escape his past. Now, that illusion was cruelly stripped away. Jennifer pressed her advantage, presenting Ryan with a stark choice: recommit to their relationship, sever all ties with Aria Thornton, and adhere to her rules, or face the exposure of his dark secret. Trapped and desperate, Ryan initially agreed to Jennifer's demands. He ceased visiting the museum, ignored Aria's increasingly worried messages, and became a virtual prisoner in Jennifer's gilded cage. Jennifer reveled in her perceived victory, believing she had secured Ryan's unwavering loyalty. However, the weight of the blackmail began to take its toll on both of them. Ryan grew withdrawn and depressed, his once vibrant personality dulled by the constant stress of living under threat. He mechanically went through the motions of their relationship, but the spark that had initially drawn Jennifer to him was extinguished. For her part, Jennifer found that her hollow victory left her feeling unfulfilled. The passionate and challenging young man she had fallen for was now a submissive shell. She oscillated between guilt for her actions and frustration at Ryan's despondency. As weeks passed, the tension in the household became unbearable. Ryan's simmering resentment lurked just beneath the surface, while Jennifer's paranoia grew. She became convinced that Ryan was plotting against her, seeking a way to neutralize her leverage. The situation was untenable, a powder keg waiting for a spark. That spark would arrive in the form of a chance encounter that would push Ryan to his limits and set in motion the fatal confrontation between him and Jennifer. The catalyst for this final confrontation came on a crisp autumn evening. Jennifer had insisted on dragging Ryan to a gallery opening, parading him before her peers like a prized possession. As they navigated through the crowd, the air was thick with tension, setting the stage for a night that would change everything. Ryan's gaze locked onto a familiar face across the crowded gallery. It was Aria Thornton, strikingly elegant in a vintage dress. Her presence evoked a bittersweet reminder of the freedom and authentic connection he had lost. Before Jennifer Ashcroft could register the moment, Ryan mumbled a hasty excuse and fled the gallery. He wandered the dimly lit streets, his mind racing. That chance encounter with Aria awakened something deep within him, a fierce yearning for freedom. It was a haunting reminder of the person he once was, and of who he could still become. When Ryan finally returned to the estate in the early hours of the morning, he found Jennifer waiting, her expression a mask of icy fury. The argument that erupted was unlike any they had experienced before. Fueled by newfound courage, Ryan confronted Jennifer about her manipulation and blackmail. Sensing she was losing her grip on him, Jennifer resorted to her final tactic. She reminded him of the evidence she held against him, threatening to expose his dark past and use her influence to obliterate any hope for a future. She painted a vivid picture of the ruin that awaited him, should he dare to abandon her. But instead of cowering, Ryan's resolve only solidified. In a moment of clarity, he realized that no future with Jennifer, no matter how opulent, was worth the price of his soul. With a calmness that belied the inner turmoil, Ryan declared his intention to leave, regardless of the consequences. Faced with the terrifying prospect of losing him, Jennifer snapped. The ensuing chaos would shock the community and irrevocably change their lives. As Ryan turned to walk away, Jennifer's composure shattered completely. With a primal scream of rage and desperation, she lunged at him, her manicured nails raking across his face. Caught off guard by the sudden violence, Ryan stumbled backward, knocking over an antique vase that shattered against the marble floor. The sound of breaking porcelain seemed to propel Jennifer further into a frenzy. She seized a heavy crystal decanter from the bar cart and swung it at Ryan's head. He ducked just in time, the decanter missing him by mere inches as it smashed against the wall, showering them both in shards of glass and expensive scotch. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Ryan attempted to restrain Jennifer, pleading with her to calm down. But Jennifer had spiraled beyond reason. She clawed at him, kicking and screaming incoherently about betrayal and ingratitude. In their struggle, they crashed into Jennifer's prized art collection. Paintings tumbled to the floor around them as they grappled violently. In the chaos, Jennifer's hand closed around a wicked, ornate letter opener from her desk, more a weapon than an office tool. With a fierce thrust, she plunged it toward Ryan's chest. He barely managed to deflect the blow, but the blade sliced deeply into his arm, drawing forth a spray of blood. The sight of his blood seemed to momentarily snap Jennifer back to reality. She staggered back, the letter opener clattering from her suddenly nerveless fingers. Clutching his bleeding arm, Ryan seized the chance to escape, making a dash for the door. But in a final, desperate act, Jennifer grabbed his injured arm, pulling him back with surprising strength. Driven by pure instinct and adrenaline, Ryan shoved her away forcefully. Jennifer stumbled backward, her heel catching on the intricate rug. Time seemed to slow as she fell, her head striking the corner of the heavy marble fireplace. With a sickening crack, Jennifer Ashcroft crumpled to the floor, a pool of blood rapidly spreading beneath her as Ryan Breslin stood frozen in shock. His mind struggled to process the horrific scene that had unfolded. What had once been filled with chaos was now eerily still. Trembling, Ryan checked for a pulse, but found none. The realization hit him with the force of a physical blow. Jennifer was dead, and the life he once knew had shattered. In a daze, he stumbled into the cool night air, leaving behind the gruesome aftermath of his actions. As dawn broke, it would soon become the center of a sensational investigation. Early the next morning, it was Jennifer's housekeeper, Elodia Ramirez, who made the grisly discovery. Her piercing screams upon finding her employer's lifeless body shattered the tranquil morning silence of Riverton. Neighbors rushed to her aid, and a flurry of calls to 911 ensued. Detective Lydia Blackwell, a seasoned investigator in the Riverton Police Department's Homicide Division, arrived at the scene within the hour. The opulent living room was now a chilling tableau of violence. It told a harrowing story of a fierce struggle. Broken glass crunched underfoot as Detective Blackwell surveyed the chaos, noting the overturned furniture, shattered artifacts, and the blood smears that led directly to Jennifer's body near the fireplace. As crime scene technicians flooded the house, Detective Blackwell began piecing together the events of the previous night. Security camera footage emerged, showing Ryan fleeing the premises in the early hours, his shirt stained with blood. His swift disappearance placed him squarely in the crosshairs of the investigation, making him the prime suspect. An all-points bulletin was quickly issued for his arrest, but as the investigation deepened, a more complex picture began to emerge. Interviews with staff and acquaintances revealed the tumultuous nature of Jennifer and Ryan's relationship. Several witnesses recounted frequent arguments and expressed growing concern about Jennifer's increasingly erratic behavior. A breakthrough occurred when detectives uncovered Jennifer's hidden files. These files detailed her investigation into Ryan's past, and evidence of blackmail emerged, suggesting that Ryan might have acted out of desperation rather than a cold-blooded intent to kill. Meanwhile, Ryan remained at large. Reports of sightings across the state flooded in, but he managed to evade capture. The investigation took a significant turn when Aria Thornton, tormented by guilt over her involvement, came forward with crucial information. Aria provided investigators with text messages and voicemails from Ryan, documenting Jennifer's escalating behavior and his growing fear. Her testimony painted Ryan as a victim of manipulation and abuse, trapped in a gilded cage crafted by Jennifer's wealth and threats. This new perspective prompted Detective Blackwell to delve further into Jennifer's past, revealing a disturbing pattern of obsessive behavior and allegations of stalking from her previous relationships. Forensic evidence from the crime scene began to align with Ryan's version of events. The angle of Jennifer's fatal injury suggested an accidental fall, while defensive wounds on her hands indicated she had been the aggressor in the final confrontation. Perhaps the most damning evidence came from Jennifer's own digital footprint. A thorough examination of her computers revealed the extent of her surveillance of Ryan, including GPS tracking data and recordings from hidden cameras strategically placed throughout their home. The level of invasion and control within Jennifer Ashcroft and Ryan Breslin's relationship shocked even the most seasoned investigators. As the true nature of their bond came to light, public opinion began to shift. The narrative that once portrayed Ryan as a gold-digging boy toy transformed into a more complex understanding of a young man ensnared in an abusive situation. Initially charged with second-degree murder, Ryan's case took an unexpected turn. As evidence emerged, revealing Jennifer's manipulation and abuse, the legal landscape began to change dramatically. Under mounting pressure, the district attorney's office was compelled to reconsider the charges against Ryan. After lengthy deliberations and intense negotiations with his defense team, the charges were ultimately reduced to manslaughter, following weeks of testimony and 3 arduous days of deliberation. When the jury returned with their verdict, Ryan was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. This decision acknowledged his role in Jennifer's tragic death, while also recognizing the extenuating circumstances that had led to the fatal confrontation. Considering Ryan's lack of prior criminal record and the unique circumstances surrounding the case, the judge sentenced him to 5 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 3 years. The sentence elicited mixed reactions from the public. Some believed it was too lenient, while others contended that Ryan had already endured enough suffering.